All right, so we just finished talking about the medium for visual aids. Now let's move on and talk about strategies for using these visual aids. So KISS, y'all have probably heard of that. Keep it simple, stupid. So follow the 6x6 rule, no more than 6 words in a line and 6 lines on one slide. That can be kind of tough to do, especially if it's, like one more line that you need to do, but keep it simple. You don't want a ton of stuff on your slides or on your graphs or presentations that are going to be distracting. Make them visible, so people at the back of the room should be able to see them. If it's a visual aid, again, it should be for everyone, not just the people in the front get to see it and experience it, but no one else can see it, okay? And that can actually be really hard, so that's something to keep in mind. Make them neat, attractive, and accurate. So I know we talked about this. Be sure that you're using accurate and high quality tables, drawings, etc. Spelling is a big deal. Use spell check. It can communicate that you don't care as much if you have spelling errors or numeric errors, stuff like that. So you really want, everything communicates something, so you really want to do a good job and double check your work on your visual aids. Be aware of font choice, use of color, etc. Be mindful that some people may have trouble seeing certain colors, certain things, certain fonts. So just be mindful of that. Don't talk to your visual aid. This is super, super, super common, okay? So if you are using a PowerPoint, don't be facing the PowerPoint. Again, that's not, you can look at it, but if you need notes, use notes. The visual aid is not for you. It is for your audience. I cannot say that enough. Give a speech, not a slideshow. So what that means is, as it says, sometimes people hide behind their presentation aids, focusing on them rather than their audience. So it is not the presentation itself, nor will it save a poorly planned speech. Okay? So, and as I said, as it says on the slide, don't use slides as note cards or notes. If you need note cards, if you need some notes, that's fine. But don't, and I want to emphasize, I'm not saying that you can't look at your visual aid. Like, nope, you can't even look at it. No, you need to. That way you can point to either like a step that you're talking about, refer to it, but so often, y'all, in, presentation, again, I'm sorry if you can hear my baby fussing. So often in presentations, and I'll be honest, a lot of times in the demonstration speech, if students have a PowerPoint, they just read from it or just use it as their notes, and that's not okay. You shouldn't need to look at your visual aid to know what you're going to say. And then keep it close. That's a small one, but it's just in general, keep it close to you. That way, when you need it, it's right there, and you don't have to walk across the room to go get it. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. All right, more strategies for using visual aids. If you're not using it, then we shouldn't see it. So include blank slides to separate things. If you're not talking about something, have a blank slide, just a black slide. That way we're not distracted. Don't pass it around. That can be really distracting, as you know, because this is still why I don't, even in face-to-face classes, I don't take roll and pass around a sign-in sheet. I'm so sorry if that's distracting, y'all. You don't want to pass it around because it's distracting, and then that person's like, hey, did you get it? Did you get it? And then someone comes in late, and then you try to get it to them. So don't pass it around. A good way, if it's like a picture that you can't blow up so that people can see it better, a good way is to maybe say, I have this, I know it's really small. Instead of passing it around, I am going to, if you would like, after my presentation, you can come up and see it, hold it, or, whatever. That way people still have access to it. Keep the lights on. I know that's kind of a small one, but people fall asleep, they get tired. Make sure people can see it. I'm not saying make it super bright to where there's a glare and they can't even see your visual aid if it's, something on a computer or a projector, but keep it dim, not pitch black. Anticipate problems. Prepare for technology to fail. That is the biggest thing. I think a lot of us see technology as this saving grace, and it is awesome. I'm not anti-technology, but I think a lot of us forget that it is imperfect. Technology fails. Things happen. Especially, I'll be honest, the biggest thing I see in my class is students that have a Mac at home, and then it might not configure with the PCs that are on campus, and then they, they're like, wait, it worked when I submitted it or when I did this. So just something to be mindful of, and practice with them. Practice, practice, practice with your visual aid, just like you practice with your note card. Just like, I know, like, this is probably a dumb example, but if you're into sports, when you're doing a scrimmage, you don't practice without the ball or without whatever, like you practice how you're going to play. So practice, if you're going to use a visual aid for your presentation, practice with the visual aid. That way you can be mindful of your body, if it's in front of the visual aid and covering it, if you're holding it high enough to see it, if you're realizing like, wait, how, this is kind of bulky, how do I practice holding this up and then managing my note cards? Practice with your visual aid, not only for your success, not only for a higher grade, but also for your nerves, y'all. That's going to help you so that when you get up there, not only have you gone through the speech, it's not your first time and you're not going to be fumbling with your visual aid, okay? Visual aids are really important. As I said at the beginning, they're very common. You have to use one for your demonstration speech. So start to think about, once you've figured out what you want your topic to be, start getting on your radar. What visual aid am I going to use? What type? Okay. If you have any questions of what would be best, obviously, please ask me. I'm more than happy to help you with how to navigate that. But yeah, also if it's something that you're going to bring in, just be mindful of like campus rules. For example, I know I gave you the example of a student who did archery. I also had a student who actually was at ACC because I teach at different colleges. I had a student who wanted to do a presentation over her how to like develop it was like not how to have a pet snake, but like how to start, what they need, how to take care of a snake. It was really cool. For her snake, believe it or not, was actually an emotional support animal. She disclosed to me that she struggled with depression and anxiety, and there was something about her rubbing. I know some of you are like shaking right now or like trembling because you hate snakes. I feel that way about spiders. But for her, it was really calming to rub the snake's skin and feel that against her fingers, and I don't know, it calmed her down. So she wanted to bring her pet snake. Now, I didn't want her to get in trouble, so I told her, check with campus security. Not that they would, I know it's not like bringing a weapon to school, but, there are rules. So just be mindful of that. There's also people who have huge phobias of snakes and who have, they can't look at snake. Again, I would like, that's where I would have to pull the plug if one of y'all wanted to do like, can I bring my pet tarantula? That would be a hard no for me. I'm sorry. So, she did announce like, hey, I'm going to bring a snake. And I told students, if this is really going to bother you, you can quietly, step out, because I know that that's an animal that some people just can't handle. Okay. So I'm happy to help you with whatever visual aid you want to do and how to make that work. But keep in mind, your visual aid does need to be effective. And I want you to keep this chapter in mind as you think about and pick your visual aid. All right. That's all I have for y'all today. Bye-bye.